Do you know that there was a murder case in India that forced students in schools and colleges, as well as ordinary citizens, to take to the streets in protest? This case shook the entire nation to its core. Even as people were still recovering from the Nirbhaya case, this new case emerged. Today's story is about such a case, one so horrific that it shamed humanity itself. Hello, friends, how are you? Today, I am talking about the Neha Sharma case. This story begins in one of the most beautiful cities of Uttar Pradesh, Agra. It was March 15, 2013, around 7:15 in the evening, when a man called the police. The man told the police that a car was parked in a very frightening manner on the road in the Dayalbagh area. The operator noted the information and dispatched the police on duty in the area. Within minutes, 2 police officers arrived at the spot on a patrol bike. The man who made the call was also present there. The police tried to open the car door, but it was locked and wouldn't open. After trying several times, they called a mechanic. After about 20 to 25 minutes of effort, the car door finally opened. The police began searching the car and found a piece of paper with a phone number written on it. One of the officers called the number, and a man on the other end answered. His name was Research Sharma. The police asked him about the car and provided details such as the car model and number. Research, in a state of distress, arrived at the scene with his wife. They identified the car as their own, which had been parked in this deserted area since the afternoon. It was already getting dark. Research told the police that his daughter, Neha Sharma, had taken the car to college that morning. She usually returned home by 5 p.m., but today she hadn't. Her mother had called her 50 to 60 times, but she wasn't answering, and now her phone was switched off. It was now around 7:45 to 8 p.m. Hearing this, the police took the car and the parents to the Amar Bihar police station for further questioning. Neha Sharma was a student at the prestigious Dayalbagh Educational Institute in Agra. She had already earned degrees in MSc and other courses and was now pursuing a PhD. She was a very bright student, and everyone knew she would achieve something great in her life. Her parents were very proud of her. Neha lived with her parents, a sister, and a brother. The Sharma family was a follower of the Radha Somi sect. On March 15, 2013, Neha left for college in her father's car as usual. When she didn't return home by 5 p.m., her mother called her multiple times. After 10 to 12 attempts, a boy answered the phone and said, "Hello, Auntie. Didi has gone to Sadar Bazaar. She will be back shortly." After saying this, he hung up the phone so quickly that Neha's mother didn't even have time to respond. Her mother continued calling, but the phone kept ringing and then getting disconnected. After 20 to 25 attempts, the boy answered again. Before her mother could say anything, he said, "Auntie, Didi is standing in line to buy movie tickets." After saying this, he hung up again. Her mother kept trying to call, but after some time, the phone was switched off. She informed Neha's father about this, who also tried calling her, but the phone was now off. They called her friends, but no one knew where she was. The police registered a missing persons report for Neha Sharma. They formed 2 teams, one to check Sadar Bazaar and the other to investigate the theater, as mentioned by the boy on the phone. By now, it was around 8 p.m. Neha's family, along with the police, searched for her everywhere, even at her college, Dayalbagh Educational Institute. The police learned that Neha was last seen in the nanobiotechnology lab. The police immediately headed to the lab. When they arrived, the lab was locked, so they had it opened by a staff member. The scene inside shocked everyone. Neha's body was lying in a pool of blood. Her hands were tied behind her back, and a cloth was stuffed in her mouth. The floor was covered in blood. Her salwar was pulled down to her knees, and there were deep cuts on her abdomen, as if made with a broken pipette. Later, it was found that she had been stabbed 17 times. There were tissue papers scattered all over the lab, possibly used by the killer to wipe off the blood. It seemed like the killer had attempted to clean himself after each attack. Other than the broken pipette, nothing else in the lab was broken or damaged. It appeared that the killer had attempted to rape Neha, and when she resisted, she was brutally murdered. The sight of their daughter's lifeless body left Neha's parents devastated. The police were also deeply disturbed. Neha's body was sent for a post-mortem examination. It is crucial to conduct a post-mortem within 6 to 7 hours after death to determine the cause accurately. By now, high-ranking police officials had arrived at the institute. A crowd had also gathered, including members of the Radha Somi sect, to which the Sharma family belonged, as well as the general public and media personnel. The news spread like wildfire throughout Agra and Uttar Pradesh by the next morning. Newspapers reported the incident, and it was covered on news channels. The citizens of Agra were furious. Students from schools and colleges took to the streets to protest. The protests weren't limited to one area, but were happening all over the city. On March 16, 2013, the protests began. The police were under immense pressure. A special team of 15 officers, including a superintendent, 2 DSPs, and several other officers, was formed specifically to investigate this case. During the investigation, the police found a broken laptop in a bush near the crime scene. The police questioned Neha's friends, classmates, and college staff. On the same day, the post-mortem report revealed that Neha had been stabbed 17 times with a broken pipette. There was no conclusive evidence of rape, and the report did not confirm anything specific in that regard. 3 days after the incident, during the ongoing investigation, a student mentioned a boy named Uday Swarup. The student suggested that the police should question him and keep an eye on him. The police discovered that Uday's grandfather was the chairman of Dayalbagh Educational Institute and a former high-ranking officer. Uday was questioned by the police at the college, but he denied knowing Neha Sharma. Uday's family, being very influential, expressed their anger at the police for harassing their son. They filed a complaint in court, accusing the police of wrongful harassment, stating that Uday was not a criminal and should not be treated as such. Meanwhile, the college administration and Uday's family lodged several complaints against the police for disturbing the staff and students. By now, nearly a week and a half had passed since the murder. The police had questioned around 2,500 people, but they still had no leads. The investigation team was under pressure from the government, higher officials, the public, and the media. Neha's parents informed the police that Uday Swarup had been harassing their daughter and following her around the college, despite not having any official work there. After learning this, the police went to Uday's house to question him again. However, he continued to deny knowing Neha. Due to Uday's family's influence, they filed a complaint against the police for harassment. The police were now facing legal challenges, adding to the pressure. By this time, about 15 days had passed since the murder, and the investigation was still ongoing. On the 15th day after the incident, the police decided to return to the lab for further investigation. When they arrived, they found that dust had settled on the tables, and the blood on the floor had dried. The forensic team collected samples from every corner of the lab for further analysis. The investigation continued. They used to keep it, but it was written that it was found in this corner of the room. Some hair was also recovered from the place where the body was found. After collecting everything, these were sent to the forensic lab. Even after questioning 250 people, when the police found nothing, they started suspecting those who either knew Neha or frequently visited the lab. Out of the 250 people, 22 were included in this list, including Uday Swarup. This boy used to come to the lab without any work and would sit there for hours. His intentions were not good, but since his grandfather was the president of the college, no one could say anything to him. After sending the samples to the lab, the police returned to Uday's house and took some of his clothes. Initially, the family refused, but eventually, Uday's clothes were taken. The police remained in contact with the college staff and students. After sending the forensic samples to the lab, someone informed the police that on the night of March 15, 2013, when the body was found, Neha Sharma's car was seen being driven by a lab technician in the afternoon. After this information, the lab technician was identified as Yashvir Sandhu. He used to work in the lab where Neha used to come. Sometimes, Yashvir would drive Neha's car, taking her to and from the college. He was well acquainted with Neha. After receiving this information, Yashvir Sandhu was taken into custody at night. According to his statement, Uday Swarup had given him the car keys and told him to park the car in a secluded area. Yashvir did as he was told. The hair found in the college lab was identified as pubic hair. These were matched with the hair found on Uday's clothes, and the DNA was a 100% match. This was strong evidence of Uday's presence at the crime scene. On April 1st, the forensic report came out, and with solid evidence in hand, Uday was called to the police station on April 3rd, 2013. Now, no one could stop him from being summoned to the police station. Uday was brought to the police station, accompanied by a person who asked him to write down his answers. The same questions were asked multiple times over several hours. Eventually, Uday broke down and confessed that he had assaulted Neha. The police were engaged in a battle with Uday's family and the rituals they had performed. On April 22nd, Uday Swarup and Yashvir Sandhu were officially charged by the police. On April 23rd, the police informed the press that they had unraveled the Neha Sharma case, implicating Uday Swarup and Yashvir Sandhu. However, the police had only identified the culprits. Their motive was still unclear. This investigation was incomplete. On July 16, 2013, the police submitted a charge sheet in court, charging both with murder, but not with rape, as the post-mortem was inconclusive. People were still angry because murder charges were filed, but not rape charges. The motive was still not clear. No one would kill without a reason, so it was necessary to determine the motive. Powerful people were involved on both sides of this case. Neha's family and others were demanding a CBI investigation. On July 22, 2013, the officials handed the case over to the CBI. The CBI conducted their investigation, examining the post-mortem and forensic reports. They conducted a second forensic examination and found that Neha was first chloroformed, then raped, and finally killed. Uday Swarup was obsessed with Neha, but she was ignoring him. Whenever Neha came to the lab, Uday would follow her, but could not talk to her properly as there were always people around. On March 15th, when Neha came to the lab, coincidentally, there was no one there except the lab technician. Yashvir called Uday and went out for tea with the PN. Uday brought concentrated chloroform, which was not commercially available. He poured the chloroform on a handkerchief and, from behind, covered Neha's nose and mouth. Neha resisted a bit, but then she fell. She wasn't fully unconscious. On the table was Neha's bag containing her phone, laptop, and car keys. Uday handed the keys to Yashvir and told him to leave the car in a secluded place. Yashvir did so and then went home. Meanwhile, Uday raped Neha. She continued to resist. A glass beaker was lying nearby, which Uday broke and used to attack Neha. He attacked her about 17 times. Due to the liquid, his hands slipped on the glass. He cleaned the glass with a tissue and then attacked again. After the attack, he cleaned the blood off himself with a tissue. During this time, Neha's mother was calling her daughter. As the phone was ringing, Uday was assaulting Neha. Uday answered the phone and sometimes said that Neha was in Sadar Bazaar and sometimes said she was in line for movie tickets. He smashed the laptop with bricks and threw it in the bushes, turned off the mobile phone, and destroyed it. He then left the lab, bent the latch of the door, and called the PN to lock the door in his presence before leaving. In January 2016, the CBI filed a charge sheet, adding rape charges alongside murder. Only Uday Swarup was charged. Yashvir was not found to have any role. Uday was granted bail for the murder charge, but because of the added rape charge, he was sent back to jail on May 12, 2016. The Sessions Court refused to grant bail, and the High Court also did not respond. Given the time that had passed, people would say, "Aren't you the one who committed that heinous act on an HD scholar girl?" The judge reviewed the files, and in 2018, Uday's bail was rejected. Neha Sharma's father stated that his life's only purpose now is to get justice for his daughter. He has complete faith in the judiciary. Currently, the case is ongoing in the Sessions Court. Due to COVID, the proceedings were paused. Uday remains imprisoned in Udaipur jail. We will end the story here. Please comment and let us know how you liked the video. Like and share this video, and subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell icon. See you in the